What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Recovery Meth Podcast. My name is Kendall Key, and thank you for joining me. So, this evening's episode, I definitely want to talk about, of course, what has been going on with me. For those of y'all that don't know, I am a recovering meth addict and alcoholic. So, I got my 18-month chip a couple, maybe 2 weeks ago. So I'm very happy with that. But along the way, I realize and I know that I'm still early in my recovery. So yesterday was a very trying day for me. Only because to understand, you really have to know like the backstory behind everything. But that'd be way too long of an episode trying to just play catch up to get you to understand. But anyways, I'm working 2 jobs and I'm very thankful, very blessed. They're both down the alley of recovery and helping others. One of them has been a struggle just because it's a startup company. And with that being said, there's so many hoops and hurdles that you have to go through that we are still going through to be compliant with, regulations and laws and just things like that. So, we've built up like a good clientele, of individuals that come through daily, and I'm thankful to be a part of that. But at the same time, along with that, I guess, let me just put it this way. The funds weren't there to pay the employees, to pay me, so it's been a real struggle. But, I've been doing my best. I've been going there, Monday through Thursday, just doing what I need to, being of service. But at the same time, I was wearing down from it. So then, let's just say that, I took some time off from there. I took the past 2 weeks off, and, I've come to find that, hey, you know what, some of the, some income has came in from what's been owed. And, it got to me because, let's just say, I wasn't one of the individuals that actually got to see the immediate benefit of that. And again, I've dedicated so much time and energy into helping create this. So yesterday, I found out that, I wasn't going to receive anything. And, at the moment, I was okay with it. 30 minutes after leaving, I swear, I just got bombarded by all these thoughts, all this negativity, and it was exhausting. It was just too much for me. I was at a spiritual tug of war. I was having a spiritual battle within myself. And, I prayed and I prayed and I prayed again. And it was just too much. I was getting these thoughts of, okay, you know what? They don't appreciate you. They don't appreciate the work that you've done and all the energy that you put into that building, into that company, into everyone that's there. And I kept telling myself, no, that's not it. There's a reason behind this. And, and every time I justified and got to a point where I was clear-headed, that only lasted about 10 seconds, and I was bombarded again with just these thoughts of ugliness and selfishness. And, I kept praying, and I kept praying. And it was tough because, I love everything that we've built there, and I know I'm doing right. And I kept turning it over to God, but it's like, it was just me trying to take back over my will, and I'll be one to tell you you know what? Trust in God. Just trust wholeheartedly. Well, I'll also be the one to tell you and just be honest with you that yesterday I was weak. As much as I knew to trust in Him, to trust and believe that He had His hand on this, I kept trying to pull back my will, and it just tore me apart, and I just felt nothing but pure darkness and pure ugly, and just negativity just plagued me from the inside out, and it ruined my afternoon, my evening. I stayed up until about 3 o'clock in the morning just wrestling with my mind. It was terrible. And I figured, like, okay, you know what? By the time I do go to sleep, I'm going to be all right. Like, it's going to be behind me, a brand new day. No, when I woke up this morning, it was still there. And it was still there. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to get out of bed. I wanted to, go for a hike and all of that. But I was like, man, I couldn't even eat. And that is just how negativity consumes you. And I'll admit that I allowed it to. And so then, instead of wondering and letting my mind roam, I said, you know what? Let me get to the bottom of this. Let me go over there and speak with them. So, I called to the office, and of course, the person that I needed to speak with wasn't there. But, we did speak on the phone, and it was a good 10-minute conversation, and I just told him exactly what was going on, exactly everything that I felt, everything that I was feeling. And I kept, just saying, like, I'm trying not to feel like this, but it's there. And, it was great because, he reassured me that everything that I was thinking was not the reason behind it, and that was all I needed. And I understood that. What's crazy about it is, man, it was just too much. It really was, and, we spoke, and it was just like the weight of the world was lifted off from me. I just felt this relief. And after that conversation, I just prayed and I thanked God and I apologized. And I'm like, hey, you know what? This is exactly part of, I'll be one to say that everything happens for a reason. And I believe that God allowed this to happen, allowed me to feel these negativity, to allow me to realize that, I can't ever forget that I have to work on myself. And this is an area where I need to work on. And me being 18 months clean, I'm not going to lie. Last night, my thoughts went exactly back to old habits. I said, hey, you know what? No one appreciates you. Just unscrew it. Like, let me go get some dope right now. Let me go get high. Like, okay, if I get high right now, I guarantee you it's going to be so much better. And I can't, that was real. That was a real thought that came to my head. And, I just kept fighting it off. And I just stayed inside. And I just kept thinking. At the same time, I was praying, but I know that, I was seriously just trying to take my will back. And my will leads to destruction and chaos. I've already lived 17 years of that. Like, I've already lived more than my fair share of where my will leads to. I'm only a year and a half into God's will, and it has been nothing but opportunity and blessings. And yesterday and this morning, I wanted that chaos back. That's what I was trying to fight for. And I was allowing all this ugliness to fester within myself. But upon the conversation that I had with my boss, my mentor, I spoke with him, and he was like, hey, you know what? The work that you have done made it possible for others to receive the monetary blessing. And I was just like shell shocked, like just mind blown. And I actually got teary eyed when he said that. And what he had said was, you're only seeing it from a perspective that you want, but just know that there's a bigger picture to it. And I found comfort in that, and I found just relief and blessings. Just like, hey, you know what? There is a bigger picture to it. Again, I'm working 2 jobs. I'm so thankful and very fortunate and very blessed that God has allowed me to keep my head afloat. No matter what, God has just always provided for me and made sure that I have everything. And it's like, hey, you know what? When he said that, like, hey, there's a bigger picture right here, I was just like, wow, thank you. And that's true. I didn't look at it like that. I seriously didn't. And again, that's where my will is. My will is nothing but selfishness, nothing but chaos. Me. What can I get? What can I get out of this? And I try not to be that person. I had to fight very hard with it on the daily. And yesterday, I'll admit that I was weak. I was weak this morning. So then, upon this experience, I realized that, my will is exactly the same as it was 19 months ago. Nothing but negativity, pain, heartache, frustration, anger. I'm very blessed and very fortunate to be on this road of recovery. So then, I want to ask you, are you currently in a situation where you feel that frustration, that anger, and you can't figure out why, or you know exactly why and what it is? Well, I encourage you to take a step back and realize there's a bigger picture at play. There's God's purpose in the mix of all of that. And if you just trust wholeheartedly, even when it is impossible to do so, keep praying. Remember, there is strength when you pray. God will give you the strength, the courage, the guidance that you need. And sometimes, if it's involving another person, instead of allowing your mind to roam, just go straight to the source. Just go straight to the source and ask the questions. Let people know how you feel. Let people know what is going on with you. I guarantee you, once you do that, the weight will be taken off your shoulders. Give it over to God and just know that God is there and He's going to be taking care of you no matter what. Even when you don't see it, even when you forget that. Because we're all going to have weak moments. We're going to have days when we fall short. We're always going to be that. That's always going to happen. But don't ever try to take your will back, especially if you're in recovery, because you know where that leads. So again, I ask you, are you currently taking your will from God? Or are you giving yourself to God to carry out His will for you? That's something to think about. Again, until next time, my name is Kendall Key, and I thank you for joining me for the Recovery Meth Podcast. God bless and good night.